So on screen now, we do have our Academy riders getting ready for race 1. And on pole, it's the number 5 of Archie Reynolds with Ed Darnton and Jackson Bennett joining him on that front row. Pop of the front wheel there for Max Rhodes as he makes his way down the start-finish. And you can see that, I think that was Cole Reynolds weaving about a little bit there on the number 10 Automotive Solutions TM.
Yeah, absolutely. Is number 41, Edward Darnton, leads them round as they go in towards the paddock then. So that's number 5 up next is Archie Reynolds there, was it? It is indeed that big number 5 on the front of that KTM for Archie Reynolds, but leading 2 already through. Green flags all the way as they go in towards the paddock section for the first time. So Edward Darnton leads them through, second on the grid, leading the way round the right-hander in the paddock infield section, and then back on towards the back of the control tower and behind the house as well. But it's Darnton from Reynolds in your top 2.
And then it looks like Tyler Clark has found a way through on Jackson Bennett on that opening lap. So the number 6 there currently sat in 3rd place, but it is Darnton that's taken the advantage over Reynolds, who had pole position from qualifying. You see there the number 41 opting for the outside to inside line, looking like most riders have chosen that one, and then up the step up and back out onto the tarmac.
That's it, just got to contend with the dirt and the dust that's been dragged out from the dirt section onto the tarmac, but he takes it all into his stride, left leg out and back over to the right now through Farm Bends, and coming around to complete lap number 1 of 9, Edward Darnton on the 41, he leads the way over the number 5 of Archie Reynolds. That's your top 2 as they come through then past us and on towards mere hairpin now, but Edward Darnton has got a 1.5 second advantage over Archie Reynolds, who in turn is 2.3 seconds up the road from Tyler Clark. That's a top 3 at the moment, as in 4th and 5th position, Max Rhodes and Jackson Bennett fight over for that 4th place.
Yeah, but it is still the number 41 of Ed Darnton now, who's managed to eke out a 1.5 second lead there in the opening stages of this first race for our Academy riders, and looking inch perfect through that paddock section there. I think he even popped onto the back wheel there as they made their way down past the back of the house and then entering our off-road section. And it's worth noting how challenging this off-road section can be for these riders with these small 12-inch wheels. So you can see on our screen there, you can see the lines that have been forming, and it is drying out ever so slightly now where they did water it earlier, and we've got a little bit of blue groove now through those berms. So all that leading to this track developing, but as Chris Hodgson said in his podium interview, it looks like the track is developing in a way that those berms are being blown out. So we'll just have to wait and see how that affects these riders.
He said the dirt section is pretty difficult, but no one seems to have told Edward Darnton that, because he's extending his lead over Archie Reynolds as they come across the line. Then there goes Darnton. Here comes Reynolds now, and it's a 1 minute 21.667 for Edward Darnton as the first of the flying laps, and he's opened up to 3.5 seconds over Reynolds, who in turn is 3.4 seconds up the road from Tyler Clark, who's got Max Rhodes for very close company as well. So Max Rhodes, number 58, less than half a second behind Tyler Clark, and lapping 0.7 of a second quicker, but trying to find a way through around this twisty Oliver's Mount circuit is definitely another challenge. So Edward Darnton 1 lap ago around this section, just taking a look over his shoulder to gauge his gap, and it currently stands at 3.5 to 4 seconds.
Yeah, and just worth mentioning, that best lap time being one of the early ones in this race, already being down to a 1:21, that is about 2 seconds quicker than their fastest lap times in qualifying. So to me, that's saying that the track is coming to them, and as it's drying, it is actually getting a little bit easier for these 12-inch wheels that they have here on our Academy bikes. So there's the number 5 of Reynolds opting for the outside to inside line, and it would be a tall order to ask for these to be able to send it up this step up. It is just quite too big for them to be able to launch it on the 85, just being a little bit smaller on capacity, but they are making up for it absolutely everywhere else on the track.
Yeah, they really are, aren't they? As we watch the number 5 of Archie Reynolds through the flip-flop of left over to the right of Farm Bends, and then back onto the front straight once more to complete lap number 3. So Darnton is through, and on that lap was on a 22.351. Through goes Reynolds with a fastest lap of the race for himself at 1 minute 23.388. And look at that, nothing but clear track between himself and Tyler Clark, because it's opened up to 6.6 seconds after 3 laps complete.
Yeah, our top three have really split themselves up now as we've come into 6 laps remaining in our first Academy race. I will also mention to the spectators that we've got out there, Archie Reynolds' qualifying time being a 1 minute 23.202 would have actually put him in front of his dad, Paul Reynolds, on board his Automotive Solutions 450, and would have put him, I believe, probably one of the tail places on our B group today. So do not be mistaken. These kids are absolutely flying today. And like you say, I don't think anyone's told them that this off-road's challenging.
No, you're absolutely right there. And I think we may have to repeat that stat later on as well, just in case you didn't hear it, as they make their way through the dirt section once again. And it's outside, inside for Archie Reynolds, and hitting this big tabletop as well that will bring them back out onto the tarmac. And getting the power down on that 85 there. Even on the 85, so you can see the rear wheel just stepping out ever so slightly for Archie Reynolds, as Edward Darnton is well out in front now and across the line to complete lap number 4. So the number 5 of Archie Reynolds is the young man that we're looking at, and here he comes heading towards us now. And what kind of speeds are these guys hitting, do you reckon, on these 85s?
Oh, it's really hard to say. So you'd probably be looking upwards of 70 miles an hour, which, especially with it being a road race circuit, I'm sure we've got a 30 mile an hour sign on that road. So although a lot of these riders definitely aren't old enough for road licenses, they are certainly flying here on these 85s, which is definitely the machine to have in this class. And as we look, you can see here the number 58 of Max Road just hopping up there, and you can see that sort of loose gravel there that's been dragged through into that paddock section, causing him no issues as he gets hard on the brakes there to get that Husqvarna spun round on that really tight left-right hairpin section.
Max Rowe's up in the 3rd position there, Cole Reynolds in 4th. Jackson Bennett is now down into 5th place, but I'm not sure what happened there between Cole Reynolds and Jackson Bennett, because Cole did a 1 minute 30 flat compared to his best of a 26.7, and an even bigger loss there for the 79 of Jackson Bennett, a 1 minute 38.7 compared to his best of a 1 minute 25.8. So he's lost about 13 seconds, has Jackson Bennett.
Yeah, a little bit of a mistake there on screen there from the 58 of Max Rhodes. Both feet off the pegs. He was entering that first berm into our off-road section, so just losing his balance ever so slightly, and a quick glance over the shoulder to see if he was under threat there. But it is a 11-second advantage that he has on the number 10 of Cole Reynolds on board his TM Automotive Solutions machine. So a great ride there from the number 10 of Cole Reynolds to be sitting in a comfortable 4th place there from the 79 of Jackson Bennett. But here comes Max Rowe. You can see that handguard bent down as he comes through our start-finish and heads toward mere hairpin.
Certainly does, and there's that 30 mile an hour speed limit sign you was on about, so these guys are just not paying attention to that one. And why would you in racing circumstances? Edward Darnton 5.4 seconds up the road from Archie Reynolds, who has 14 seconds advantage over Max Rhodes, your man in the picture at the moment, as he slides that Husqvarna round the left-hander and then back down onto the right-hander as well. So it really is back and forth, snaking his way through that paddock section. And there, just behind them there, is that number 10 machine of Cole Reynolds, and Jackson Bennett looking to regroup as he put in a personal best lap on that previous lap.
Yep, Jackson Bennett is now closing the gap on the number 10 of Cole Reynolds, so that battle for 4th place, I'm sure, will be hotting up as they make their way through towards this off-road section. And there's Max Rhodes opting again for outside to the inside berm, and you can see how hard packed that is. So that is thanks to all the work that our Trips UK team boss Chris Walker has put in for the last couple of weeks to give us this absolutely spectacular off-road section. So they've allowed it to sit and settle and really, really compact, which makes it rideable for these riders on both slick tyres and these 12-inch wheels.
Across the line once again for the number 58 of Max Rhodes, really solidifying himself in that 3rd place position. So he is 8.9 seconds up the road from Cole Reynolds, 14 seconds adrift from Archie Reynolds, who is 7.3 behind Edward Darnton. So they have spread out inside the top 4 positions there. In fact, Cole Reynolds has a 1.5 second advantage over Jackson Bennett, who again puts in a personal best lap of the race of a 1 minute 24.514. So Jackson Bennett, the number 79, is lapping 0.7 of a second quicker than Cole Reynolds in front, and there isn't enough time left in the race for him to get onto the rear wheel of the number 10 of Cole Reynolds. And in fact, there he was through the bottom of the picture. The number 10 of Cole Reynolds does have the 79 of Jackson Bennett for very close company. At least he did there, as they make their way now in towards the dirt section once again.
Yep, so there is the number 10 of Cole Reynolds making his way through the off-road section. Really nice and clean through there. Standing up on the pegs on board that TM as they follow that nicely cut in line. But Cole opting for outside to inside here through this Trips UK off-road section. It looks like Bennett there also comfortable with that one and following. So up that big jump, and it looks like Bennett's closing the gap ever so slightly as they make their way back out onto the tarmac section. So that inside leg of Bennett there just steadying him as he tries to get the power down on that KTM 85. And it's that flip-flop section, like you say, that big elevation change. A quick look over the shoulder from Reynolds to see just how close Bennett is now as they cross the line. And it is 2 laps to go for our leader out front, which is the number 41 of Ed Darnton, who has scurried away and led with the lead of over 8 seconds. So he will be very comfortable out front and just ticking down these laps.
Yeah, 8.5 seconds is I'm sure, a welcome gap for Edward Darnton at the front of this one, ahead of the number 5 of Archie Reynolds. But this is the battle that we're looking at on the screen at the moment. The number 10 of Cole Reynolds in 4th place on bike number 10. 79 Jackson Bennett in 5th position there through the paddock section now and heading towards the dirt section for what will be the penultimate time. So the number 10 of Cole Reynolds holds a 1.5 second advantage over the 79 of Jackson Bennett, and he'll be able to hear him if he gets any closer as well. So Cole Reynolds really starting to feel the pressure if Jackson Bennett was to become any closer. But again, goes for the inside, which will give him the outside berm as they go around. And that is a yellow flag up in the air. And is that the number 5 machine there, is it? No,
that's the number 6 of Tyler Clark. So Tyler Clark there having what looks like a mechanical there in our off-road section. So he's dropped down to 8th place in this session. But here is our leader on screen now. That is the number 41 of Ed Darnton, who's taking to this infield section for the final time of this race. So he looks like he's having a relatively leisurely cruise round.
Just out having a bit of fun, isn't he? As he, again, hoists up the front wheel. And I'm sure the marshals down there are thrilled to see that Edward Darnton just showcasing his skill on that 85cc machine. As for the final time, he heads in towards the dirt section using all of the berm there and style over the jump as well through the left-hander. And he opts for the outside to give him the inside. And the yellow flag still showing there as the stricken number 6 of Tyler Clark looks to get that machine back underway.
Yeah, Clark there struggling. A little wheelie over the jump there from Edward Darnton. So absolutely showing off. And I'm sure we will now wait to see him come across the start finish. And if you are down there, give him a big round of applause as he makes his way over to the start finish line for the final time. And I'm sure he'll try and get it up on the back wheel for us all as well. So a well-deserved win there for the number 41 of Ed Darnton, as that will allow him to extend his Academy Championship lead.
Great stuff there for Edward Darnton. Here comes the number 5 of Archie Reynolds, who does take 2nd position in this race. So the number 41, Edward Darnton, number 5, Archie Reynolds, and then next up we're looking at the number 58 of Max Rhodes. So Tyler Clark has got underway now and will take the checkered flag down in 8th position there, albeit a few laps down, as 58 Max Rhodes rounds out the podium.
Yeah, so Tyler Clark managing to rejoin there, and that will give him 7th place as it stands. And that looks like a very frustrated Jackson Bennett crossing the line there in 5th place behind the number 10 of Cole Reynolds. So Jackson there looking incredibly frustrated, but there is our race 1 winner, the number 41 of Ed Darnton. That looks like Rip Jennings there, the 197. He's had an issue and he's pulled over to the side of the circuit and just chatting with a marshal. So hopefully he can get that bike back up to our top paddock for his dad Rich to be able to take a look at and get him out for race 2. But we will allow our top 3 to have their podium moment, and that will be Darnton, Reynolds and Rhodes.